Right. It's a nice way to go.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to transition over to Jeff. Come on up. How many of you, go ahead, Jeff. Close it.
No, I'm great.
You're good?
I'm good. I'm happy. I'm gonna just.
All right.
I'm gonna go find out that missing piece of information.
So now we're gonna move into the operational side and scaling. How many of you guys would like to scale your lending a little bit? But you know, it's a lot to keep track of loans, borrowers, especially if you're wrapping. It's a lot more work because you've also got to the moving parts of your co-lender you got to look out after. So there's a lot of moving parts, and we're going to talk about how to be operationally efficient, how to grow and scale with Jeff. On your feet with a big round of applause, Jeff Cichocki.
All right.
It's a technical thing, and maybe you'll bring it up later.
Can you wait?
Is my mic on? You guys can hear me? Okay. So the ending of that Jeff and Jim were just talking about is actually an unplanned, perfect segue back into operations. The truth is, every single time that I've gotten up here, all we've actually been talking about is operations. I just haven't used the words. The reason that I didn't use the word operations is because in order for us to get to this talk, we had to lay some groundwork and some frameworks for you guys to have built little pieces of the business. Because operations is all about executing all of those things that we've already been talking about and exploring and trying to document for ourselves and create. Because if you guys want to grow your business at all, and I'm not even talking about scaling it to be anything like really big, just to grow it. Like if you said, you know, over the next 5 years, I would love to just double the volume of loans I'm doing. And I think if I got that big, I would be so content. It's more than enough revenue coming in. I'd live very comfortably. I could do anything that I want to do, really, right? So not everybody's here to scale to $10 million worth of loans a month or $100 million a loan a month, right? Some of you guys are happy with $100,000 a month, $200,000 a month, $500,000 a month, and that's okay. That's part of growth and scaling. There's nothing out there that says you have to grow to be something massive. But as we talk about operations, one of the things that you have to really figure out if you want to grow and scale is how are you going to run this stuff? How will you execute the rules of the boxes that you guys have been assembling? How are you going to take the calendar that you guys created for yourselves about how you want to live your life, how are you going to apply that to your business? Because you need to figure out your life before your business. Because if you figure out your business before your life, guess which one you don't have? Well, you don't have a family life. Your kids don't see you. I was talking to someone this morning about this. The whole purpose behind the exercise that I gave you guys to take home regarding doing that schedule and calendar for yourselves and figuring out this stuff, it's about figuring out how you can have your cake and eat it too. Okay? One of the things that I have said for a long time now at masterminds that I've run and been a part of is the fact that, and this applies to all of us, but I'm also going to pick on all the men in the room because we're worse at this typically than women are. And that's the fact that we don't comprehend and understand that everything we do for our kids and our significant others, we're doing something to them at the exact same time. And you guys are thinking to yourselves, what the heck does that have to do with operations? It has everything to do with operations. So let's explore a little bit about the whole work-life balance thing and go into that just at a little bit more detail so that you guys can understand how this is going to start to impact operations and growth and scale. If we go back to what society and the marketplace has taught us all about work-life balance and what we're trying to accomplish for ourselves, remember, work-life balance is always shown as like a scale. If you guys look at the scale, how many points in time along the entire spectrum are you actually in balance? 1. That's the answer, 1. There's one spot in the middle where you're both in balance, and it's even. Work and life are in balance. You have 1 point in time on an entire infinite spectrum of possible starts and stops. So what is the likelihood that you guys are actually going to hit that one spot perfect? You're not. And if you do, how sensitive is the scale, because I know we've all used them, how sensitive is the scale to just the wind blowing just a little bit and causing it to come out of balance? How easy is that to happen? That's our business. If we don't create the proper infrastructure and these proper boxes for ourselves, and we don't think through the things that impact us in our business every single day, it knocks the thing out of balance. How easy is it? Super easy, right? If you guys do the exercise, the object is to figure out harmony. Harmony is a ladder. Harmony is the thing that doesn't get talked about, and it doesn't get talked about because it's not sexy, and it doesn't sell. It's really hard to sell stuff that's not sexy. Okay? When I was younger, I worked in a furniture store. I didn't really know what I was doing with my life, and so I became a salesperson on the floor selling furniture. Did you know that it's way easier to sell a couch than a mattress? Anybody want to guess why one is easier to sell than the other? One of them I want, and one of them I need. How many of you guys run out and buy a mattress, which is covered up by sheets and comforters and all that stuff that nobody sees, and you go, man, I can't wait to go get this new beautiful mattress that everybody's going to see in my house? Well, nobody sees it because nobody goes in your bedroom, right? It's a private part of your life. So it's a need. And most people will wait until their back hurts so bad to get around to it. But a couch is pretty. A couch is sexy. It's functional. It serves a purpose. I get to enjoy it every day as I sit and watch TV and stare at more garbage being pumped into my head. Right? Sexy sells. Super easy. Which one's more profitable? Mattress. Mattresses are way more profitable than couches. What does that have to do with operations? Because as we sit down and figure out some of these boxes and how we're going to apply them, we have to figure out how to take the not so sexy part of lending, and we have to learn to make it sexy. Because that's what operations is all about, because operations covers the day-to-day functions of what it takes to manage the office, and that includes marketing and sales. There is not one single person who's in this room who is not in sales. Every single one of you is in sales. I'm in sales. If for no other purpose right now, I am selling you. I am absolutely selling every single person in this room right now. The question is, what am I selling? There's nothing for sale, just to be clear. This is not a sales pitch that you guys think of as normal sales. There is no whip out your credit card and run to the back of the room coming. That's not what sales is all about. Sales is the transfer of ideas, and sometimes that includes a product, which then does require a credit card. But I'm up here selling you guys on concepts, ideas, theories, principles, ways of thinking, how to get outside of boxes, get out of your own way. I'm selling you on all kinds of stuff that I think about and I believe in. Your job is to decide, do you want to buy what I'm selling, yes or no? If you choose not to buy what I'm selling, that's okay. I'm not personally offended by anybody that doesn't agree with me. And if you say something to me that I don't agree with, you'll find out I'm actually a ridiculously hard person to offend. Why? Because I actually know what the word means. The word means that I just strongly dislike what you said. And as someone who's analytical, I don't have a lot of emotional outbursts regarding, you made me feel bad. You didn't agree with me. Right? That stuff doesn't happen. Why do I talk about that stuff? Because if you guys are going to do loans, you're going to have moments as part of the operations in making decisions on how to execute the box. They ended the previous session with Jeff and Jim talking about, what if something bad happens? What will you do? That's operations, guys. What will you do is operations. When we're running our lending businesses, we don't sit down and think to ourselves, something's going wrong, I need to operate. I need to switch modes and go into operations mode so that I can make a decision. No, we think to ourselves, oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do. I don't know anybody that knows what to do. And then the borrower doesn't make their payments, and things continue to escalate out of control. And yet, those of us who are landlords would absolutely execute just like that. Even if we thought that the tenant was going to pay, we would still issue notice. Why? Because you need the clock to start. Operations is about managing the clock. Operations is about managing expectations. If you guys raise private capital, you have to manage expectations of other people. You have to manage their expectations of your performance. Because if they give you money to lend out or invest with you or whatever, do any of you actually know what's in their head? Truly? Does any of you guys actually know what I'm thinking right now? My face, I went intentionally kind of blank just so that you wouldn't be able to read anything. Right? I gave you a blank stare to make it harder so that you wouldn't know what I'm thinking. The truth is, if I was standing up here smiling, going, oh, I'm so bubbly, you still have no idea what I'm thinking about. I might be having, a moment of delusion. Who knows? Operations is so much more than just what paperwork do I have to fill out. When people look at businesses, like, has anybody in here never had a job ever in their life? Okay? Kind of assumed. Every once in a while, there is somebody who didn't. They went and managed to become an entrepreneur immediately. Entrepreneurial as a kid. That means that you guys have all at least worked at something like a McDonald's, a grocery store, right? Delivered papers. We've all done something, okay? A retail store. Every one of those stores has policies and procedures. What are policies and procedures? Rules. Guess what category rules fall underneath? Operations. Operations is the execution of rules. It's the execution of your policies and procedures. What makes up all the policies and procedures that are in your company? Think about all of your jobs. Think about the things that those companies had documented. Think about all the documents you didn't pay attention to and you just ignored. Usually those things are called SOPs, or standard operating procedures, right? Standard operating procedures is the detailed, generally speaking, step-by-step instructions on exactly how I do something. Most people in most companies get trained to do the SOPs, except most companies, at least in my experience, never give you the SOP. They just tell you, the book's over there. And companies spend tons of time and energy creating things that they don't use. SOPs are actually supposed to be a training tool. Why is training important? Why is it important to create the SOPs and to structure these operations this way? If you want to grow and scale, do you need to hire any employees? If you guys need to hire somebody, do you think it's easier to train somebody when you go, I don't know, loan's coming in today, do that? Right? Now, it's kind of funny that I say that because Nicole, as you guys know, works for me. Do you know what I told Nicole when I hired her? Do you know what I told her biggest challenge with working with me was going to be? Yes, but I got a little bit more detail than just it was me. I said, your biggest challenge is you have to learn how to get inside my head, see what I'm thinking, and go do that. Why? Why did I learn that about myself? That's actually a relatively, on the grand scheme of my life, that's a relatively new revelation for me. I'm a unique person, not the only one, but relatively unique when it comes to, actually, have you guys read the book Traction? Anybody in here done that one? Okay. If you haven't read it, you absolutely should if you guys want to grow and scale your business. You need to put that on your list. And it's called Traction. Yep, it's by Gino Wickman. You need to order that book. You need to read it. You need to read it more than once. Small tangent. Big executives, you guys have heard this, they read 50 books a year. I'm going to absolutely challenge you to never do that. Gino Wickman. The reason that I'm going to tell you not to read 50 books is because what they do is they read 50 different books. Until you guys actually learn to master delegation, don't do that. Do you know what the challenge with doing that is? Do you want to know how much that will screw up the operations in your business? Because every time you read a book, now think about that, there's 50 books, that means every week you're going to read a new book. Every time you read a new book, you're going to get more ideas. Every single week, you will get more than one idea. Every single week, you're going to tell your staff that they have to execute all these new ideas. By the end of the third week, your staff is so overwhelmed with the crazy ideas you came up with, you've shot yourself in the foot. How do I know that? Because in Traction, it outlines 3 different kind of characteristics about people as far as employees go. Dumps into 3 categories. Visionaries, integrators, which are the people who take the vision and make it real, and then you essentially have your task doers, which are the people that just run the process every day and do the details of every day. I am unique because I am both a visionary and an integrator, and I am a hybrid. Do you have any idea how difficult that is? If any of you are hybrids like that, you battle internally, you do. Now, part of me loves it. I love being both. Part of me hates being both. I love being both because as a visionary, I can also understand what it takes to actually do something, and I can keep myself somewhat in check. Here's the problem. I, as the leader of the company, cannot do both. I used to do both when I didn't really have any staff and we hadn't grown and we hadn't scaled and you're just doing everything by yourself. It's fine. You can be both. You can execute your own ideas. There's no battle. There's no conflict. There's nothing. But as soon as you start bringing people on, they're looking to you for leadership. And you're too busy integrating, which means you're not leading. Ask me how I know that that's a problem for staff. Guess why I told her she has to learn how to look what's in my head, see what I see, do that. It's just a way of having conversations to extract information out so that you can get the vision. That's really what I'm describing. It's like, we need to have you help extract that from me. because my brain runs at 1,000,000 miles an hour, I have a really bad habit, which you guys can't see because I've practiced enough now to not do it from stage, but I will skip words in sentences. I will skip entire sentences, and sometimes I skip entire paragraphs. And sometimes I stop talking halfway through the conversation and move to something else. Why? Because my brain is already over there and my mouth can't keep up. Right? It's just like if you're walking down the road with someone else who's on a bike and you're trying to keep up with them. Every once in a while, you just have to take off running to catch up. But you have no idea what happened in between because you're moving so fast, you don't enjoy the scenery anymore. That's what happens. I'm willing to bet lots of you do that. If you want to scale and you want to grow, you have to realize that these things are part of who you are. I've been talking to you guys about operations and mindset and all these things. This is what it takes to figure out what you want to do to grow and scale, how to put things in check. If you talk to Nicole, she will tell you that there's lots of things I say about myself. She's like, I have never seen it in you. I have no idea what you're talking about. She has no idea. Even I tell her, I'm like, you have no idea how much energy I spend mentally hiding these things from you and not reacting to things. Because as a visionary, when you're in visionary role, you have no idea and no concept of time. You no longer know how long something will take to assemble, create, and execute. Because to you, it's an idea, and I don't understand why you didn't have it before me. I don't know why you didn't build it before I told you about it. That's the trouble with visionaries. The other problem with being a visionary is the fact that we are idea people. And when you're in idea mode, how many ideas can you guys come up with? When I started out on the very first topic, one of the things that I had said was that I really, really hate coming home with too many ideas. This is the culmination of what I started with. When you have 50 ideas, how many can you guys execute? This is why we don't read 50 books. You are better off to find 5 books, 5 really good books, and read them 10 times each instead. So you can still read your 50 books if you want to say, I read 50 books last year. Just don't tell people you only really read 5, right? Now it sounds impressive, right? So read 5 really good books. Now it's okay if you read a book and you go, this sucked. Throw it away, pick a new one, and start again, okay? You don't have to read a bad book 10 times. That's a waste of time and energy. Don't do it. Just throw it out, start again, okay? You have my permission. But read a good book 10 times. In those 10 times, it is the exact same as when you guys watch a movie for the second time. How many things do you notice the second time you watch a movie that you didn't notice the first time you watched a movie? The same book contains all 50 of the ideas that you need. But do you know what the difference between reading one book 10 times and 10 books one time? Same 50 ideas, or same number of ideas. One is a set of focused ideas because they all came from one book on one topic in one row. And everything in those 50 ideas will be in alignment. When you read 50 different books, you guys will pick 50 different topics. And even if you told me that's not true, I read all 50 books all on one topic, it's 50 different perspectives, 50 different angles, 50 different perceptions, 50 different everything. Your 50 ideas are now scattered. If you are a faster thinker, you can't afford to be scatterbrained. And yet, A lot of us are. Right? That's why somehow you have to learn to extract from me the things that are going on in my head. I'm the kind of person, as are probably many of you, I make a decision, I execute the decision, and I move on. And once I've moved on, I'm done with it. I don't want to rehash it. I don't want to discuss it again. I don't want to deal with it again. I need to move to the next problem, because I'm not somebody who wants to dwell in the past. I'm trying to lead the company forward. Am I right or am I wrong in my approach? The answer is yes. Right? The answer is yes. I'm both right and wrong. Why am I right and wrong? Because I have staff. I could say it's yes for me, perfect, every single time when it's just me. But when I have other people to take into account and consider as part of what I'm trying to do to accomplish the growth, it might be no for them. Or it might be yes for them and a no for me. I don't know, it depends on the situation. But operations is figuring out the organizational structure, because you guys are going to have to do that as well. You need to sit down and figure out your organizational structure. If you are a one-man show, you still have an organizational structure. It just so happens you wear all of the hats in all of the roles, and you are by yourself responsible for everything. Is that bad? Depends. If you make yourself responsible for stuff that you really, really suck at, you're not good at it. Like, I'm going to pick on bookkeeping. Like, if you're not good at bookkeeping, why are you doing your own books? I know why you do your own books, but why are you doing your own books? Stop being so cheap. Do you know why I call you being cheap when you do that? Because you're shooting yourself in the foot. How do I know that? Because I don't have any toes left. Right? If I took my shoes off, side comedy here, if I took my shoes off and you guys saw the socks that I'm wearing, because somebody actually asked about this, oh, those barefoot shoes that you wear, are those like the toe kind of shoes? Like you see those, like the runners wear, where every toe is actually in a different slot within the shoe? I'm like, no, they're normal shoes, but my socks are toe socks. Weird normal stuff, right? Makes my feet feel better. Gets more energy. Why is that stupid but yet important? Because comfort is actually part of operations. If I'm uncomfortable all day, which is back to bookkeeping, I'm doing stuff I shouldn't be doing. If I'm not good at it, I can't stand it, I don't understand it, I'm not good at it, how well do I do at it? Not. So why don't I have somebody else doing it? Because as a leader, what is the number one thing I ultimately need to do to stay in business? I need to drive revenue. If I'm off doing non-revenue producing things that I really am awful at, I'm the wrong person to do it, I'm in the wrong seat, wearing the wrong hat, how much money do you think I'm making at that moment? None. What's even worse is that because I'm bad at it, do you think it takes me more time to get it done or less time? Way more time. And the more time that I spend focused on doing stuff I shouldn't be doing, the harder it is to grow and scale and even just maintain day-to-day operations of the business and managing the loans, because there is a lot to managing stuff, as you guys are doing, right? We started talking about contingency plans. Did you know that that was a long shot to try to squeeze that in an hour? Because Contingency plans is an all-day seminar. All day. We could easily spend a couple of hours on each and every one of the 5 items I put on the board, and we didn't even cover them all on the list. There were still more ways that we could have added. This is why this is an all-day seminar, just to do that. Operations. If we spend the time to get into the details of the nitty-gritty of every single thing that you guys have to do, it's a 3-day boot camp by itself. And that's why I'm staying more at a conceptual level for you guys, so that we can just help you guys build the framework so that when you get back home to your offices and you're focused on your business, you'll at least have a good direction to head in. You'll have an idea of things that you should focus on and change. And don't get me wrong, hiring your very first person to come work for you is scary. Very, very scary. I'm going to exaggerate the numbers a little bit, just to drive home the point of what we all feel when we do this. I'm a pretty non-emotional guy. This is fairly typical. But even men who we say are non-emotional are emotional. We just mask it and hide it. That's what we really do. We suppress it and push it in the back. So when I went to go do my first person, and I'm going to exaggerate the number, $150,000 a year salary. What am I thinking about? I'm thinking about how much $150,000 is. I'm thinking to myself, I don't have $150,000. I'm thinking to myself, what the hell, what happens if I can't pay $150,000? Because my problem is I'm focused on the big problem and not the little one. When I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I had a slightly different epiphany than most people do. I realized that, and this will probably confuse and actually have a couple of you guys challenge me on this, although I've done a lot of research on it and I know I'm correct on this. There is absolutely no need to have an IRA, a 401k, or retirement account at all if you think about the basic concepts of what Rich Dad teaches you in his book conceptually. If you have enough money coming in every single month that pays all of your bills, you don't need a savings account at all. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have one. I'm not suggesting that. I'm telling you your lifestyle needs are met based on cash flow. I tell you guys that part of it because when I started to realize that, what I realized was I started asking questions like, okay, because at a prior age in my life, I was a financial advisor. When we're financial advising people, we're always talking about the big number. You need to save $1 million, $2 million, or whatever the number is for that family to be able to meet their future goals and needs when they retire. Nobody ever really sits down and says, okay, but why do I need that number? The financial advisor just plunks it in a spreadsheet, it spits it out, and we go, oh, that sounds good. I like that number. And we stop asking questions. So I said, why do I need the number? What do we do thinking, get rid of real estate for a second, get rid of loans, just go back to normal life in a W-2 world, and you go to retire, and you have $5 million sitting in your account. I'm going to be generous with you guys. What are you going to do with the $5 million? Start withdrawing it. Why are you withdrawing it? Because you're replacing your income. What is the number that comes out of your account every single month? Is it $5 million? For some reason, when we get there, we switch from the big number to the little number. Okay, so this is what I was doing when I started challenging and asking questions to lay out the operations of things. I'm scared to death to hire somebody for 150 grand, but the reality is I don't need 150 grand. All I need to figure out is the small problem, which is how do I generate enough revenue per month to pay the monthly salary or the weekly salary? How do I solve the small number? When I realized all I had to do was figure out the little numbers, The big numbers all got easy. The zeros no longer mattered. This is part of your job in your businesses as part of operations, is to figure out how can I execute things, how can I take the roles and responsibilities and the hats that I wear and move them off to the right people. Over the past couple of years, year and a half, well, really about the last year, really. Well, no, really the last 2 years, I've hired people for our lending company, consultants. When my ex-business partner Derek and I were doing this together, we had hired consultants to come in and take a look at things. We only know what we know. We don't know what we don't know. For those of you that follow me on Facebook, I made a post. I was talking to Rick about it yesterday. My post was, what got me here won't get me there. Do you want to know why it won't get me there? Because if I already knew how to be there, guess where I'd be? So in operations, your job is to sit down and figure out, where do you want to be? The answer is personal to each and every one of you. There is no answer that I can give you that's going to define where there is. There is something you have to figure out on your own. Asking my dad where there is a really small number. My dad is one of those guys, super conservative, and believes no one needs that kind of money. I have enough. I'm comfortable. I don't need all that. I'm good with it. I asked him one question. I don't normally challenge my dad that much, mostly because I disagree with so much of the fundamentals that it just isn't worth the battle and the argument. Because my dad believes in these things really, really deeply and passionately. And I know that because he's my dad, and I've known him for 55 years now. But this one time, we were sitting there, and he's talking about how I don't need all that. And then my brother-in-law jumps in, and he's talking about, yeah, we don't need all that stuff. And then my brother jumps in, and he's like, oh, we don't need all that stuff. I mean, you're right. And I just looked at him, and I said, do you guys donate to charity at all? And they said, of course we do. And I said, then why is that enough? Imagine if you had twice as much. Could you do more? This isn't about your lifestyle, I said. I'm not saying you have to increase your lifestyle. I'm saying, what if you had twice as much money and you could give it away? And the light bulb clicked for them, all of them. And they said, we never thought about it that way. Do you know what your job is in operations within a company? It's to figure out how to do more. You have a responsibility to do more. What is more, though? I don't know. I can't define more for you guys. I can only tell you that you guys have to pick based on your lifestyle, based on your dreams, based on your visions, based on your calendar that you guys dream up. What is that? But we have to focus on solving those problems. We have to decide who are the right people. How can I get them on board? How do I find the right people? Do you know what I'm not good at? Hiring people. I'm not a people person. I'm autistic and awkward socially a lot. I'm working on it, and I'm getting better. I was in a mastermind in September in Richmond, and Anthony was there. And it turns out I was at a Dealmaker event, and I spoke. And Anthony approached me after I spoke. And I didn't know this at the time, but at the mastermind, came out because part of the conversation was, but Anthony said that was the most awkward conversation I've ever had with any other human being in the entire world. And I smiled and said, oh, I believe you. It happens. I get so distracted so easily that, or I'm scatterbrained at certain moments, right? And I'm not focused. What is operations? Focus. Operations is focus. This is why we have to figure out what hats need to be filled within the organization that we want to create. You don't have to hire every single person all at once. Matter of fact, I would highly suggest you don't ever do that. Don't take on more than what you can chew. Do one thing at a time. You can do it quickly, but do one thing at a time. Don't multitask on this topic. You guys want to watch operations get screwed up really, really fast? Multitask. Teach your teams to multitask. Watch them screw it up. Do you know what multitasking is? Multitasking is just a business sexy term that we use to say, I want all of your staff to be completely and totally distracted by 50 things at one time that they're trying to accomplish in an allotted amount of time that isn't enough to do anything, and in the time that we gave them, they're going to get nothing done. That's multitasking. I'm an IT guy. I understand circuitry, chips, transistors, the whole 9 yards. Those are some of my favorite things. Did you know that chips within computers are really mechanical devices? Did you know that a computer that they say is a multitasking device is a lie? Did you know they actually don't multitask? Even if you tell me that they have 4 processors in them, they're not multitasking. Each processor is doing one thing at a time. But they do it so fast that it looks like they're multitasking. That's what's really happening. What we've created is task switching. Task switching affects your operations. If you guys want to operate a business and grow and scale it, you need focus. Clear and direct focus. I am not the most focused human being in the world. I can be difficult to work with because of my 50 ideas that come out at once. When my visionary is in full swing, if you're not a visionary or an operations person that knows how to rein in a visionary, it's hard. I'm not saying I'm a jerk or anything. I'm just saying it's just really hard because I'm just coming up with so many ideas. So I've learned as part of my operation that I actually tell people, I need you to learn to tell me no. I realize I'm the owner. I realize that's scary. Nobody wants to tell the owner no. But the problem with ownership and being the leader is when everybody turns into yes men and bobbleheads, it's really hard to make informed, educated, strategic moves that move the needle forward. That's operations. Operations is just like we were talking yesterday, right? About servicing. It is big. Operations is not just do A, do B, do C, do D. Oh, look, I'm done. That's part of operations, but that's not operations. Operations begins the moment the phone call, the text message, the email, the online application, whatever it comes in. That's the beginning of operations every single time. When does operations end? Well, you're always going to start over. But it's when everything's done. Just because you've received your money back doesn't necessarily mean the loan is done, because you have to fill out satisfactions and get other things recorded. There's cleanup afterward. So it doesn't finish on a loan operationally until the end. And if you've got someone else's money, making sure that they've been paid. Operations is all the way from the beginning to the end. Operations includes every single step, every single place, everywhere, with every single employee, with every single hat if you don't have any employees, all of it. How many of you guys are one-man shows? How many of you guys drop the ball every once in a while? It's the same pile of hands. I have a team. Do you know what? I still drop the ball. This is why I need people that are not afraid to tell me no. Because I need people that are strong enough to realize that, sure, I might have a strong personality occasionally. I try not to let it come out, but you know, when you're driven, which most of us in here are, when you're driven, sometimes you have feisty moments. Happens. But if you actually had someone on your team that told you how to do something better, even if you got upset about it, would you respect them more or less for it? Probably. So, are you guys getting kind of a picture of operations? Right? Because operations is really the growth in the scale. If you don't have good, solid operations, there is no growth in scale. Don't try it. You're wasting your time. You will beat your head on the wall with a spike. You will be disappointed the entire time. You will be frustrated. Every single person that I know that doesn't have their operations in order, myself included, when operations are not in order, bad things happen. That doesn't mean loans are destroyed or people are getting hurt necessarily, but bad things are just all the problems that show up that are unnecessary and easy to avoid. Right? Proper operations is organization. Proper operations is learning to do things step by step by step by step and outlining them and drawing them out. Creating checklists for yourself. Creating checklists for other staff members. So that's it in a nutshell. That's operations, that's growth, that's scale. All of it ties to that. This is not an easy topic. This is a 3-day conversation in order to give you every single thing on it. We would literally need 3 days, and half of it would be workshop, where we would literally have to sit down and work together to design and lay out the infrastructure of everything it takes to run a bigger business. But at least I'm hoping you guys are walking away with a framework and ideas and concepts of what you guys should think about and look at for yourselves to build out. I am not the right person to do an awful lot of things in my own company. I've learned that. That's a really, really hard pill to swallow. When you're an integrator, that's a really, really hard pill to swallow, because integrators believe everything is fixable and I can do anything. That's a fact. But you can't. So, my question to you now is, what questions do you have? Or are all of your brains now in hyper overdrive going, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed? All right, we got the mic back here. Yes?
Jeff, can you give us maybe, as you look back when you started to where you are now, maybe the top 5 tools or top 5 things that you did that helped you grow to the next level? Software maybe that you implemented that made a big difference, hiring the right person, maybe getting a commercial office space instead of working out of your home. Can you delineate some tools that we might be able to implement as you look back on milestones as you've grown your business?
All right, so I'm going to give you 2 lists on that. Not necessarily sure that I'll have 5 on each list, but I'll tell you some off of each list. I'm going to tell you what I did, and then I'm going to tell you what I wish I had done. What I did originally was not plan. When COVID hit, I already kind of referenced that, right? When COVID hit, we asked for referrals from all of our borrowers and said, hey, is there anybody else that you know that we could help? Talk about inexpensive marketing. Took us emails and phone calls between loans that we were working on. Worked ridiculously well. I wish I had actually set up systems and processes before I had done that. I wish that I had been more strategic and more calculated and thought through the consequences of what I was about to do. Because I'm going to tell you, 250% growth in 60 days will break every single thing you have in your business, including your staff. That's a fact. So, doing that referral thing, fantastic. I think everybody should add that to their list. You should all be asking for referrals. You should be working your network to get business and growth. That's part of growth and scale. I did that right. I skipped a step.
Jeff,
Yes.
were you just not planning?
Yeah, I didn't plan.
No, was it unexpected? Was the response unexpected for you?
Oh, absolutely. I actually had no idea that people were going to respond so well. I had it in my head that people didn't think that highly of us. My goal has always been provide customer service, and we've done a really great job of customer service. But when you ask for referrals and you don't plan for things, guess what all of a sudden you're no longer doing? Customer service. I wish we'd have planned.
So are you
Soft-
then saying to plan no
You
matter
have to
what?
plan. Yeah, you have to. You need a strategic plan. You need to plan out your growth. You need all that stuff. I didn't do it. I do it now. Everything I'm doing, even when I don't have answers to things, I am working on strategic plans of where I'm trying to get to figure out what there is. The problem as a visionary is sometimes I'll change there. And I might move it a lot. Ask Nicole.
Jeff?
Ask Tommy. Yes?
Sherry from online's asking, what would be your very first hire?
So the first person everybody should hire is a bookkeeper, period. I don't care what you think about your business. I don't care about anything. You need to hire a bookkeeper. How do I know that? Because I didn't. That's the thing. That's part of the systems and the things up front that I should have done. I wish I would have done. I didn't do it. Now I have a great bookkeeper. Cleaned up an awful lot of stuff this past year. Actually, past 2 years. Because as it turns out, the last 3 bookkeepers before them screwed up a whole lot of stuff that you don't know, because if you're not a bookkeeper, you don't know. We got the microphone over here, though.
I'm glad you're talking about bookkeepers. When we first started our business, and it's just me and my husband, I said, we need to hire a bookkeeper, because he had a day job.
Yep.
I'm the worst bookkeeper. I'm not a numbers person. If I look at a spreadsheet, my eyes cross. That's not my specialty. I have other specialties. I haven't hired a bookkeeper because I don't know what to teach them. And I said this to someone, and they
Yep.
said, they're going to teach you what you need to do. Now, can you comment on that? And can you give some suggestions about what's the first thing you say when you hire a bookkeeper?
Yeah. Okay, so this is what I've learned about trying to figure out how to hire the right people. Now, just so you know, I still suck at this, okay? Just in complete transparency. I understand the process, but I'm still trying to learn and work out the kinks myself. But what I've started to do is do it backwards now. I'm trying to find the end result. So if I need a bookkeeper, what do the books feed? Your taxes. So who's the person you should talk to find out about who the bookkeeper should be? Ask your accountant. Talk to the person who does your taxes and does the end thing. They probably know the right person for you guys. That's the easiest way, is get referrals. You know, when we do referrals to get more business, guess what else we're supposed to do? We should get referrals for everything else we're trying to do. I wish I'd have invested more time and energy into CRM and software for what we do. Spreadsheets suck if you're growing and scaling. They will break. Even if the spreadsheet itself never breaks, you will break. Why? Because go try to manage 250 spreadsheets at a time. Because when you have 250 loans on the books today, go try to manage it. When are they all due?
Processes and systems are
Process
important,
system.
right?
I wish I'd have invested
So
more money in that.
what is a great system for private money lending you could share?
So I've used the mortgage office.
That's what you're using, Mary, right?
Okay.
How many others are using mortgage
Or no,
office?
I'm sorry. Mortgage Automator is the one that I've used.
Okay.
I said mortgage office because Alpha, the company that we're buying, They use Mortgage Office.
Okay. Another one's Mortgage Automator.
A Mortgage Automator.
Anyone using that one?
Mind you,
Nobody.
neither are necessarily cheap, but
How
they're
much
really
is Mortgage
good.
Office around? Do you know? Because you just signed up.
Gave me a sale price at the end of the year, and it's about $450 a month, and it's not cheap.
Oh, $450 a month, but it isn't bad.
Mortgage Automator will cost you more than $450.
That's for only one license, one module.
Okay. And Mortgage Automator is even higher.
Yeah, because they won't break it up into modules like that. You have
Okay.
to buy the package.
So around, what would you guess Automator is?
They've
These are
changed their
investments, not
pricing.
expenses.
I'm at $17.50 a month for Mortgage
Wow.
Automator.
Okay.
So, and I know people that are over $2,000 with Mortgage Automator.
How about for smaller private money lenders that may be doing $2 to $3
If,
million
if
a
I
year?
was smaller, I'd honestly be talking to Paul. That's what I'd be doing. Paul was generous enough, I don't even know, maybe it was 2 years ago now, but
Yeah,
Paul and I
REI
sat down and he
Copilot.
showed me his whole system and all the stuff they were working on. And I have to tell you, for the small investor, I was literally blown away by the stuff that he's
I
doing.
was too.
Absolutely
Wait,
blown away.
Paul.
So as a small guy, I'd
REI
absolutely be
Copilot.
talking to Paul.
It's a good system. Okay.
Yeah.
REI Copilot.com. The amazing Dr. Paul
Yeah.
White.
We're going to give Paul
good
so much
buddy.
business by the end of this
I hope
event.
so.
We're going to break his systems.
So that when I meet him at Starbucks in a week or two, he's going to pay this time.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
All
good
right.
software.
Well, we're going to transition to networking now. I want you guys to enjoy. I hope you got a lot out of how to scale your business and operate it effectively and efficiently. And if so, give Jeff a great big warm Dealmaker round of applause. Thank you. Come on back in 30 minutes, okay? And we'll have some more good times for you.